Strong performances from Brayan Bello and Lucas Giolito have all of Red Sox Nation wondering, is the Boston Red Sox starting rotation turning the tide?
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's free. So continue to tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the show. As we all watched the Red Sox win a much-needed game last night against the Tampa Bay Rays to even the series at 1 apiece, after what was an incredibly frustrating 11-inning game on Monday, the Red Sox were able to bounce back last night. And it was kind of the opposite. The game prior to that, there were lots of runs scored, whereas in last night's game, it ended 3-1, and the pitching on both sides was solid. Lucas Giolito started for the Red Sox, and Ryan Pepiot took the loss for the Tampa Bay Rays, but he also looked pretty solid as well. So I'm going to be talking all about Lucas Giolito and the Red Sox starting rotation right now as a whole. Are they turning a tide? Kristian Campbell has been struggling as of late, and there have been rumblings about what the Red Sox do to handle that. I'm going to be discussing that, as well as Roman Anthony reaching a milestone in last night's game with the Boston Red Sox. So it's interesting because you hear names like Kristian Campbell and Roman Anthony who portray the future. Those are guys who are going to be likely part of the Red Sox organization for a very long time. Those are the guys who are going to make a difference for years to come and hopefully will win at least one championship during their time in Boston, ideally more. I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm used to winning. I want to win. So you think about those guys and you say, wow, the future is bright. But then you think about the present and you get super frustrated because of the inconsistencies and troubles that this team this season has had. And one of those troubles has been with starting pitching. You have guys like Brayan Bello and Lucas Giolito who are not providing length for the Red Sox. And Walker Buehler in his last start, which was against the Yankees, he didn't last very long either. He could only throw into the second inning because he gave up 7 runs in that outing. And it's been a consistent problem this season where the Red Sox starting pitchers have not been providing length. But over the last few games, they have been getting length from their starters. It started on Saturday when the Red Sox beat the Yankees 10-7 with Garrett Crochet pitching. He threw 6 innings in that game, and he gave up 5 earned runs in the outing with 9 strikeouts. So obviously 5 earned runs is not a quality start, but hey, he was able to get stretched out through 6 innings, and you expect that from Garrett Crochet. You expect him to be a guy that can provide length. He is the Red Sox ace, and he's been the guy consistently all season long that they can put out there and can likely throw 6 or 7 innings on average. Then you go to Sunday where the Red Sox won 11-7 with Hunter Dobbins pitching. He didn't get stretched out as much. He threw 5 innings, giving up 4 hits and 3 earned runs. He only threw 64 pitches with 44 of those being strikes. I definitely was a little bit surprised by that. I think he easily could have gone at least one more inning, but he got pulled after 5. And with his pitch count as low as it was, you want to try to think about the fact that your bullpen has been taxed. And the longer these starting pitchers can go, the better it is for them. So I definitely would like to see Dobbins go deeper in his next outing. And I definitely think he could have handled it. But then you go to Monday night in the very frustrating 10-8, 11-inning loss against the Rays. And the biggest thing that I mentioned on the show that was frustrating about that game was that the Red Sox offense was answering the call. They would go down by a run or two, and then they would come back to tie it. But then they couldn't take the lead ever, and they would just keep giving up the lead. So they would be tied, they'd give up a run. They would tie it up again, they'd give up a run. And it was just a vicious pattern of that taking place over and over and over again. And it was just maddening because they just could not hold any of these leads. But the biggest thing that was the most frustrating was that they got a good outing from Brayan Bello in that start. He threw 6 1/3 innings, giving up 7 hits and 3 earned runs with 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. But like I said, the Red Sox could not hold it. Every time they tied the game, they just kept giving up runs instead of being able to hold that and allow them to score more. But Brayan Bello is not a guy who has provided a lot of length this season. He, in his last few outings prior to that one, had not gotten out of the 5th inning the majority of the time, didn't even get to the 5th inning in a lot of scenarios. So the fact that he threw 6 1/3 is a huge win for the Red Sox. Then you go to last night's game in which the Red Sox won 3-1 to even the series against the Rays and allow for it to go to a rubber match today, which hopefully they can win that too. And Lucas Giolito pitched, and he was phenomenal. 6 innings, giving up 3 hits and 1 run, but it was an unearned run. So no earned runs with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. He threw 98 pitches with 63 of them for strikes. So he definitely still didn't fully have the command, but he was able to lock down and get it done when he needed to. And his pitchers were working. I mean, he utilized that 4-seamer a lot, and it was hitting 95 in that outing. So things were working for Giolito. The problem is that he's been inconsistent all season long. He'll have a really solid outing, but then he'll go into the next outing and completely fall apart. And we definitely need more consistency from him, because if we can get this version of Giolito that we got last night, that's a game changer for a Red Sox rotation that really needs reliable arms. So he got through 6 innings in that outing. And this is the exact thing that I've been talking about on the show, is that a big issue with the Boston Red Sox is that their starting pitchers have not been able to provide them length. And because of that, it's really detrimental to the bullpen, because now the relievers have to be put in a lot earlier in the games than they would like to, or than the Red Sox would really like them to. And the more that a starter has a bad outing and can't get into the 5th inning, for example, that's the more games that you're having to have more relievers be available. And even as it was too, I mean, in last night's game against the Rays, when the Red Sox won 3-1, it was known going into the 9th inning that Aroldis Chapman was not available because he had pitched the previous 2 nights. And when it's a close game, it makes sense that you throw him in those types of scenarios. But guys are not always going to be available in the pen. And there's been a lot of uproar about Alex Cora's bullpen usage this season. And an example of that would be Monday night's game when the Red Sox lost in extra innings and Zach Kelly was rolled out there in the 10th inning. Sure enough, could not throw strikes. And the Red Sox were unable to get the job done when he was pitching because he just didn't have it. But the problem is you had used Aroldis Chapman the inning prior, and it starts to limit the options of who's available out of the bullpen. You had used Guerrero, you had used Bernardino, who has been used an excessive amount this year. So it really gives Alex Cora a lot of trouble when it comes to knowing who to use when, because you can't really use guys in their ideal spots. So the Red Sox rotation really was letting down the bullpen, but are they turning the tide now? Because now you've gotten, over the last few days, the majority of the starters going at least 6 innings. What changed? Are the Red Sox starters altering their pregame routine so that they don't fatigue their arms as much? Or are they fixing something in general with the approach overall with the starting rotation? I think it's too soon to fully say for sure and know exactly what's working and what's not. But over the last few days, the Red Sox have provided a lot more length from their starters than what we're used to seeing. And that's huge, because at the end of the day, if the starters are having a good outing, the chances of you winning that game are a lot higher. And sure enough, yes, the Red Sox were also going up against a talented starter, but Lucas Giolito had a really solid outing and allowed the team to win. And that's what we need from them moving forward. So definitely something to pay attention to is, are they improving? If they continue in this direction, I could confidently say yes, just got to continue to get guys through at least 6 innings. Coming up, I'm going to be going to the offensive side of the ball and talking about Kristian Campbell's struggles. Is he in jeopardy of losing his spot on the Major League team? You always have to keep track of your finances, which is where Monarch Money can help you. I know how scary it can be to randomly see charges in your bank account and not know what they're from, because one, that could be fraud. And for two, it could be that it actually was you, but you didn't even know you were paying for it, so you don't recognize it in your bank account. But Monarch Money can help you prevent both of those things, because it's a complete financial command center that will help you control all of your expenses so that you know where everything is going and you can more regulate what money you're spending and what you're saving. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. I really don't know what I would do without this service. It has been a lifesaver for me on more than one occasion. And a good example is that I realized I was still paying for Paramount Plus, and I literally never even used that. So it helped me to cancel that. So if you want a better way to manage your money, 100%, that's for you. The Red Sox won their game last night against the Tampa Bay Rays to even the series, and that's the biggest key moving forward. You're obviously not going to win every game, so you just have to focus on winning series. Take 2 of 3 from each of the teams that you play, and you will be a playoff team in that capacity. It doesn't seem like it right now because the Red Sox are still under 500, and they have a lot of ground to cover in their division if they want to get back to being competitive, but it's not impossible, especially because it is only mid-June right now, so they still have a lot of time left in the season, a lot of ground that they can make up because there's enough time to do so, but they have to focus on just winning the series. And one player who they would like to help them win the series that hasn't been able to do as much of that lately is Kristian Campbell, who has significantly struggled over the last month or so. The Red Sox are currently 33-36 for the season, acquiring the 4th spot in the AL East standings. So obviously they are looking to improve that, and they need all hands on deck, and they need everybody to be performing the best that they can be. But Kristian Campbell has been struggling with that. They are 3 games below the 500 winning percentage mark and have been attempting to kind of change up their starting lineup a little bit ever since encountering multiple injuries to both positional players and pitchers in recent weeks. So they're kind of trying to play around with what works and what doesn't. So the Red Sox placed Wilyer Abreu on the injured list after he suffered an oblique strain. And as a result of the injury, they called up Roman Anthony to play in right field. And while the Red Sox do hope that Wilyer Abreu rejoins the roster soon, they have been mulling over a possible roster shakeup at this point, because the Red Sox right now need to know, okay, somebody's going to have to get sent down to AAA most likely when Wilyer Abreu comes back, because we just don't have the space for anybody else once he comes back. And the question is, who is that going to be? And there is a possibility, and there has been talk among the Red Sox organization that could be Kristian Campbell, who they could send down to the AAA Worcester Red Sox once Abreu completes his recovery process and is ready to rejoin the roster. Alex Spear from the Boston Globe basically explained that the Red Sox are taking in consideration if it would benefit him to go back to Worcester. So there's definitely been discussions about it. The Red Sox selected Campbell's contract ahead of the opening day of the 2025 season after he produced decent performances in both departments of the game during spring training. They really liked what they saw. They felt like he was ready, so they called him up. The rookie signed an 8-year, $60 million contract extension with the team on April 2nd, which included club options for the 2033 and 2034 season. So he got the bag right away. And right off the bat, he was justifying that because he showcased stellar defense at second base and compiled quality at-bats since making his big league debut. At just 22 years old, he's showing great promise to become a future big league star. But with the Red Sox waiting on a couple of their stars to recover from injuries, he could see his playing time cut short in Major League Baseball right now because of the fact that he has been struggling as of late. And it's just been hard to watch that because I really like Kristian Campbell. He's athletic and he works incredibly hard. But he hit 302 in April with a 495 slugging percentage. But then since he has struggled in May, he hit 134 in May with a 30% strikeout rate. But what exactly happened and why has he been struggling a little bit more? In May, he did change his approach, and pitchers changed how they approached him. He was much more aggressive at the plate in the second month of his career compared to the first. His first pitch swing rate rose from 26% to 39%, which contributed to him going down in 0-1 for 58% of his plate appearances. So the number of times he was down 0-1 in the count became a lot more common in May than it was in April, because in April he was holding back on swinging at the first pitch more at that point. Hitting while down in the count was difficult for anybody, and Campbell consistently found himself at the mercy of pitchers because of that. Pitchers adapted to him as well, and it has caused him to struggle a lot more because they have figured out what works for him, what doesn't, what types of pitches he sees better, and what types of pitches he doesn't. And that's normal for a rookie, is that early on in your career, no major league pitcher has really seen you before, so they don't know what kinds of pitches you're going to be able to feast on. But then they start to figure that out a little bit more and pick up on it. So then rookies go through this slump because they then have to go back to figuring out how to respond to that and how to make themselves back to being a threat offensively. So Kristian Campbell always feasted on pitches away from him while struggling more with pitches over the inside part of the plate. So naturally, pitchers began attacking the inside more because that's when he would swing and miss a lot. In April, the fastballs he saw from right-handed pitchers were primarily up, with some of them being inside. When the hole in his swing was identified, pitchers focused on that spot. So pitchers would try to locate the fastball in an area in which he struggled to hit it. This ended up resulting in whiffs, foul balls, and weak contact from Campbell, whose average launch angle against right-handed fastballs in April was 8 degrees. In May, he ended up getting an average launch angle of -9 degrees. So if you go from 8 degrees to -9, that's tough. Hitting the ball on the ground is rarely a recipe for success. So essentially, against those right-handed fastballs, he was able to lift the ball in the air more in his first month, whereas in the second month, he was not able to make that kind of contact. So where exactly does he go from here? Because pitchers in the majors are not going to take it easy on him. And if he can't get to the inside fastball, he'll still continue to see them. And if he starts punishing those pitches, pitchers will be forced to try a new plan of attack. So that's the issue, is that he still hasn't shown improvement with that inside fastball, and therefore it hasn't given pitchers any sort of reason to change it, because why would they? What's not working for him is something that pitchers can continue to utilize to continue to get swing and misses out of him. The Red Sox and Campbell definitely know that this is an aspect of his game that needs to be improved, and they are probably working on an adjustment right now. And it is a small sample size, but his batting stance has changed a little bit over the last couple of weeks. He's moved back in the box a little bit, as well as a little closer to the plate. So where he's physically standing is something that he's trying to see if it could help him find a little bit more success. He's also opened his stance more. It's too early to know right now if the change will allow him to better contact the inside pitches, but taking that weapon away from pitchers will go a long way in his improving his performance at the plate, and it'll be really difficult for pitchers to figure out how to pitch to him after that. We've seen his power on display when he can get his hands extended. When he's hitting home runs, you can kind of see that. If he can force pitchers to stop going inside, then his bat should heat up again, but that's an if. He needs to figure that out, how to make contact with those inside pitches. Otherwise, he's going to continue to not put up the best numbers offensively. And now the question becomes, does it make sense to send him back down to AAA? Because he has struggled a little bit defensively ever since April too. So maybe him going back down to AAA and getting some reps there could be fantastic for his development. And you have to wonder, what that would mean for the Red Sox in terms of an infield shift and who would end up being moved where. But with Wilyer Abreu likely coming back in the next couple of weeks, because the Red Sox didn't seem to think that it was this longer term issue, once he's activated, somebody's going to have to be moved. And Kristian Campbell, to me, is somebody who is running into the same issues over and over again. So he might be better off being in AAA, where there's less pressure to focus on working on those pitches inside so that he can make better contact with them so that when he comes back up to the majors, he serves as more of a threat. So it's definitely something to think about because I think for the Red Sox, they're eyeing that and they're thinking that maybe that would be the move that makes sense to make. But at the end of the day, it's on the Red Sox and they have to make that move. One person I feel like won't be making any sort of move in the near future is Roman Anthony. I'm going to be discussing him next. If you work in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, you should be using Supply House every single day. What Supply House is it's a site that's made for those types of trades and is the reliable way to order products online. So it's a really easy to follow website that has a lot of helpful resources and information on every product so that you know you're ordering the right thing for your job. But my cousin is on it and not one day has he not gone on that website to browse because it really helps make those types of jobs easier. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. If you want a personal reference on that, ask my cousin. He loves it. You know what I love? I love when the Boston Red Sox win games. It really brings me so much joy, and it really just frustrates me so incredibly much when they lose. And I'm just constantly feeling like I'm on a roller coaster with this team because there's ups and there's downs. And then they stay down, and then they come back up for a little bit, but then they go back down, and they can't stay up or continue to go up that mountain before making the big drop. They just kind of go a little bit up, and then the big drop happens and they just skip to that and then they stay down for a little bit before coming back up. It's been a constant pattern with this team and they haven't been able to pick up a lot of momentum. They haven't really been able to go on any winning streaks. They'll win a couple games, but then they'll lose again. And they had a big win last night, and winning the series now needs to be the focus, taking the game tonight from the Tampa Bay Rays as well and putting together a good, strong series. But it makes me happy when they win. And one person who is to thank for the Red Sox win last night is Roman Anthony, who went 1 for 4 in the game. He recorded his first major league hit, which ended up being a 2-run double. So he drove in 2 of the Red Sox 3 runs on the night. He did strike out once. His average right now is 125 with a 222 on base percentage and 250 slugging. So I was really excited for him because since he got called up with such late notice yesterday, he couldn't get his family to get there for the first game that he was in for his debut. But for Tuesday night's game, he was able to get his family there because he had already played in a game with the Red Sox. So they knew that they had to travel to Boston. So they were able to be there. They were right up front, really close to the action and close to seeing him getting his first major league hit, which was a really special experience for him. And one of the biggest things about it, too, is it really helps with a kid's confidence when you get that first major league hit out of the way. Because when you first come into the league, you are thinking about how you're going to best make an impact. And when you get your major league call up like he did, you're thinking all these things in your head like, okay, I need to get my first major league hit. Like I'm going to make a bad impression if I don't get that right away. And a lot of these guys are under that impression of, I can't let anybody down. I need to put together some really nice quality at bats and I need to get my first hit as a Major League Baseball player out of the way. So now that that's out of the way, that's good for him because then he doesn't have to think about it or worry about it. The next milestone for him would be that first major league home run. Obviously, that'll come with time, but just getting that first major league hit is key. And he recorded his first RBI on a ground out in game 1 of the series. So he was able to get that again out of the way. But his first major league hit is something really special, and I'm glad his family was able to come see it. I'm sure they were bummed that they had to miss his debut on Monday night, but it just wasn't feasible to get them there because it was too last minute when he was called up, had to travel to Boston, get ready for the game and play. So they were able to be there. It was really special for him, and they were also able to see a really nice play that he made in right field, a diving catch in that game, and it truly made up for the mistake he made in right field the night prior, because on Monday night he let a ground ball roller get past him in right, and obviously he was getting acclimated to that right field. It's Fenway. It's a little bit different from Worcester and what he's used to, and the environment at Fenway Park is so much different. And if you're a player and you're playing there for the first time, it definitely takes some adaptability, because that Fenway crowd is intense and the pressure is so much higher when you're at the major league level than it ever is when you're in the minors. So for Roman, he was probably all in his head about feeling like he had to make the best possible impression on everybody right away. So he made an error in the field, and I felt badly for him, but he more than made up for that with his absolute web gem of a catch on Tuesday night in that game to rob an extra base hit. So that's the type of scenario where you look at it and say, okay, this kid definitely has the raw talent, and he had to work out some kinks in his debut, but now he had a game under his belt. So now he can hopefully go into this game with a little bit more confidence. And he certainly did going into game 2 of the series. He looked a little bit more confident both at the plate and on defense. And it seemed like he had brushed off the error from the previous night, which he obviously felt really badly about. So he had brushed that off, didn't dwell on it, and didn't let it bother him and affect his performance the next night, which is what a professional does. Baseball, they play so many games. When you play 162 games a season, you can't just dwell on little things. You can't just dwell on specific plays or miscues that then throw you off. You have to just focus on the next day. And that's exactly what Kristian Campbell did. And he had some big moments in that game on Tuesday night for the Red Sox. And it was great to see it for sure. And it makes you really think about the future and the guys that the Red Sox have in front of them that are hopefully going to be a big piece of the puzzle moving forward for this Boston Red Sox team. And you look at guys like Kristian Campbell and Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony, the big three, them all being together in Boston right now, that should help Roman to find a sense of comfort, because these are guys that he has been playing baseball with for so long. They've traveled through the Red Sox organization together, and they're so used to being teammates. And I'm sure it was hard for them not being able to play together when they were at different levels earlier this season. And it's good for Kristian Campbell too, because now he has his boys back. It can be intimidating going into a clubhouse with guys who aren't as used to playing with, but this trio traveled together for so long that they are all such close friends. So it almost feels like a sense of comfort and home for all three of them, probably. So hopefully that will help to elevate all three of their games moving forward. But Roman Anthony also is really impressive because he just shows this sense of maturity beyond his years. He is so incredibly young, and he's barely 21. So the way that he conducts himself is very mature and with a lot of confidence for somebody who's that young. And if you are a Major League Baseball player, you need to be able to conduct yourself with a sense of professionalism. And that's something that I think Alex Bregman can provide to the younger players, is showing them and setting them the tone for this is how you carry yourself around the media or around the organization or around the coaching staff. Like when you put on this uniform, you conduct yourself in a professional manner. And I think having Bregman there to guide some of these younger players through that is key. But Campbell and Anthony and Meyer have all said during spring training that they really enjoy learning from Alex Bregman, and they feel like he's an expert who has been around the league for so long. Those guys look up to a player like Bregman, who's a veteran who has had so much experience. So for them, this is like a cool moment, because it's like, oh, wow, we are seeing one of the best players to ever do it, who has experience winning World Series championships. We have the chance to talk to him and pick his brain and learn from him. So that's been huge. But Roman Anthony already comes with a sense of poise. So you would never really know if he was nervous. He expressed frustration about his error after Monday night's game, but that's a little bit different than him looking nervous. This kid doesn't really go into any game appearing nervous on the outside. I'm sure internally he was so nervous on Monday, but inside he could feel that way. you just wouldn't know on the exterior. And that's going to be something that really helps him a lot, because it's going to hopefully help him to not get in his head as much when things don't go well. And that's the biggest adjustment, I think, from going from AAA to the majors, is because there are so many more eyes on you. So if you mess up a play, so many more people know about it than they do when you're in the minors. And so that's a huge adjustment in Major League Baseball, is players being able to make those mental adjustments and say, okay, it's going to be okay. Every day is a new day. I just have to continue to go out there and keep playing my game, because a lot of players fold under that type of pressure and that burden if they feel like there's a loss that's solely on them, or they feel like they could have done more to help their team that day. And I'm sure after that game, Roman Anthony went home and was bummed with himself for costing the Red Sox in the way that he did. But hopefully his buddies, Kristian Campbell and Marcelo Meyer, helped talk him through it, because they can relate, because they made their debuts not too long ago, especially for Marcelo. So hopefully they helped talk him through it. He seemed like he was in a good mental mode last night, and his family was there supporting him. So lots of good things to be excited about with Roman Anthony, and lots of good things to be excited about with the Red Sox future. Those youngins are coming, and it's going to be a very exciting time for Red Sox baseball. So I appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and continuing to make it your first listen of every day as I continue to talk about these exciting things with the future. Next, you should check out Locked On MLB Game Night, which is a show that goes around the horn and goes over every game every single night, so you can stay caught up in what's going on across Major League Baseball. You can subscribe to that on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and check it out right after this. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.